When you exercise at the right intensity, I call that the correct dose. Usually, so you have a variance of short bursts around 80 to 90% or 85% to 90% of your maximum heart rate. Your muscle cells start panicking. So I did that at the stairs yesterday, and you saw that in the first part of this video learning episode where I was doing short bursts for 4 minutes. What happens is your muscle cells start screaming for more energy, and your body answers that with a molecular response. It activates a protein called PGC1A, which tells your cells to build more mitochondria. That's mitochondrial density, increase the number of them. Mitochondria are your energy factories. The more you have, the better they work, the more efficiently you burn fat, that you resist fatigue. And when I'm going up the top of those stairs for the last 30 seconds, I'm really getting fatigued. But if I have more mitochondria because of the correct dose of physical activity over time, then I can resist that fatigue and that tiredness. And I get lower inflammation and I delay aging as a result of having more mitochondria. People with low mitochondrial density, that's people with a low VO₂ max, have higher rates of insulin resistance, Alzheimer's, cancer, and premature death. If VO₂ max is your score, it's the secret weapon to increase your mitochondria. That's one of the reasons that I'm pursuing on a weekly basis to get enough activity quotient points. That's the points that are inside our health impact software. There's a link to that in the show notes at our website, perfecthealthlesson.com. So I want to give you an analogy that makes the concept of mitochondrial density and VO₂ max a bit more vivid, a bit more visual and numerical, if you like. So here's the title of this analogy. It's called the cellular power plant city. Imagine each of your muscle cells is like a bustling city. Someone with a low VO₂ max might have 30,000 tiny power plants, mitochondria. It's like running a modern city. So I live here in Sydney, Australia, with just a few backup generators scattered around the place. The city, in that instance, the city would constantly experience blackouts, traffic lights don't work well, trains move slowly, factories can't meet demand, people can't get heating to their house in the wintertime and cooling in the summertime because power cuts out, and the energy grid is barely holding on. And most of the generators are old, inefficient, and slow to fire up. But someone with an ultra-high VO₂ max, the same city that has 300,000 ultra-efficient, high-speed power plants per cell, that's like Tokyo or New York City at full tilt. Every time, I don't know if this happens because I don't live in those cities, nor my American listeners. We have listeners and viewers of this channel. Between my podcast and the YouTube channel, we have people that are tuning in from over 100 countries now, which is exciting. So people, imagine Tokyo and New York. Imagine if every train ran on time. I think maybe Tokyo does. I'm not sure about New York. Maybe it does. I don't know. Imagine factories humming 24/7. Lights never flickering. There's an endless supply of clean energy. And power plants are not only more numerous, but they're also upgraded, producing more energy per unit of oxygen. No backup generators here, just cutting-edge clean energy tech powering peak human performance. So raising your VO₂ max doesn't just make you fit, it turns every cell into your body, in the human body, into a futuristic energy metropolis instead of a town stuck in a blackout. Go and pursue a higher VO₂ max, improve your oxygen efficiency score. I guarantee that you'll have a mitochondrial upgrade, this cell organelle that's spread throughout the human body. All right, let's have a look at the next adaptation. And let's look at something called atherosclerosis. That's a hard word to say, reduction. Atherosclerosis is the slow, silent buildup of plaque in your arteries, like you can see in the image next to me here. It is the leading cause of heart attacks and strokes and catastrophic cardiovascular events. Remember, heart attack and stroke and catastrophic cardiovascular events, they are the number one killer of men and women worldwide, in every country that I'm talking to right now. Doesn't matter whether you live in somewhere in Europe, the United States, Canada, here in Australia, across in England, South Africa. Doesn't matter where you're. I've got some people that view the channel from China and Russia. Doesn't matter where you live. The number one cause of death in your country, by a long way, even in the local community you live in, are catastrophic cardiovascular events. And the leading cause of it is a disease that so many people have never heard of because it's literally silent. Imagine breaking your arm and having no pain. You wouldn't go to the hospital to get it fixed, would you? So if you're getting atherosclerosis, which, by the way, I found out from a professor of medicine here in Australia, this disease process definitely is kicked off in your 20s, significantly. It actually starts in your teenage years. But here's the good news about atherosclerosis, this plaque buildup in your arteries. When you raise your VO₂ max, you directly combat this process. Here's how, from a molecular and physiological, the science perspective. You improve something called endothelial function, which helps. What that does is, on the inside of your blood vessels, a molecule is released when your VO₂ max goes up, and this molecule is released on a daily basis. I've already been and had my correct dose of physical activity for today. It's my blood vessels have released, and yours will too, a molecule called nitric oxide. What then, you lower something. As a result, you get more elastic arteries. That's going to be very important later on. You lower, this is the second thing that happens, you lower oxidized LDL, low density lipoprotein, the bad cholesterol, the big cholesterol globules, and that which is damaging, that forms the triggering plaque in the first place. So think about this. You lower the LDL cholesterol in your bloodstream by having a higher VO₂ max, the higher the better, and that slows down the triggering of plaque formation. And you improve something called reverse cholesterol transport, meaning your body actually removes plaque from your blood vessels more effectively. So once again, let me give you an analogy, okay? This analogy is called the cholesterol garbage truck system. Imagine your arteries are like the streets of a big city, and cholesterol is the trash that builds up. We don't use trash, we just call it garbage in Australia. I think Americans, I've seen on TV and movies, use the word trash, but trash that builds up on sidewalks. Once again, just for context here, if you're not Australian, we don't use the term sidewalk, we call it a footpath. Anyway, that's just a little small nuance. So over time, especially with a lack of the correct dose of physical activity and the low VO₂ max, if you've been through your 20s and you're listening to this and you're in your 30s, or you're listening to this in your 40s, and you are sitting there and you're one of those beginners and you haven't got a high VO₂ max score yet, then garbage, trash, cholesterol piles up on the side of the road, narrowing the streets and making it harder for traffic or blood, in the case of your blood vessels, to flow. That's plaque buildup. Now, here's where reverse cholesterol transport kicks in. This is atherosclerosis reduction in action. Your body has special garbage trucks called HDL, good cholesterol. The HDL garbage trucks patrol the streets, collecting the trash, the bad cholesterol, from your artery walls and transporting it back to your liver, which acts like the city's recycling center. So that's what your liver does, like a recycling center. These HDL garbage trucks patrol streets collecting cholesterol, trash from your artery walls, transporting it back on a daily basis. And at the liver, it's collected, the cholesterol through this recycling plant, if you like, is broken down and either reused or disposed of properly and sent out through the bile and the digestive tract and then excreted out of your body through defecation. So the more HDL garbage trucks you have, the more HDL cholesterol, and the more efficient they are, the cleaner your arteries stay and the less risk you have of a traffic jam like a heart attack or a stroke. So that is a snapshot into a molecular and physiological health adaptation called atherosclerosis reduction. If you don't get it, you are at a very high risk of a catastrophic cardiovascular event like a heart attack or a stroke.
Part 2 of this video learning episode has ended. Part 3 has been uploaded and is ready to watch.
Hey, if you got value from this episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button right now. Because every week, we are sharing new, science-backed ways to raise your VO₂ max, lower disease risk, and build real medical protection through exercise. And here's something extra. We've got a free podcast called The New Science of Physical Health. It dives even deeper into the life-saving power of VO₂ max, AQ points, and the exact strategies Shane uses in his own training at 59 years old. So subscribe here on YouTube and check the link in the description to get free access to the podcast. Your future health depends on what you do today, and we are here to help you get it right.